Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So this year I'm going to be taking part in the Reddit Fantasy Bingo Challenge, which for anyone who doesn't know is a year-long readathon that takes place over on Reddit, and the idea is that you read fantasy, sci-fi and speculative fiction to match and tick off certain prompts on the bingo board. There's a few different rules, like you can only read from one author once and you can't double up on prompts. I'll leave all the details linked in the description just in case you have no idea what I'm talking about and you would like to find out more. But I thought today I would film my May TBR and use the prompts from our fantasy bingo to help me decide what to read in May. So far in April, I've actually already read 4 books to tick off 4 prompts. So we're off to a good start and I want to try and continue that next month. I want to try and take this readathon seriously. So yeah, basically I've written out all of the different prompts that I haven't completed yet and I put them in a mug and we're gonna choose prompts and then find books to match those different prompts. I think I'm gonna choose 5 to start with. I don't want to go too ambitious and I know my reading. I know that realistically if I'm reading a bunch of sci-fi, fantasy and speculative fiction, then usually it takes me longer to read those books. So we're gonna go with 5 prompts and 5 books to start with. I think that's actually everything that I needed to say in this intro. I feel like this video doesn't need a long introduction because it's quite clear what we're going to be doing, but I am gonna select the first prompt. And it is, I can't even see what that says, author of colour. This actually works out perfectly because a book that I really want to read in May is Law of the Wilds by Annalisa Brana. So this is a fairly new release. I think it came out a couple of months ago, but I got it quite recently because it was the Fairy Loot Romantasy pick for April. This edition is stunning as well. It has gorgeous stenciled edges, if that is going to focus. It follows a main character who makes a desperate deal with a Fey Lord in order to save her village, and I think it has an enchanted library. I don't want to look too much into it because it doesn't have the best average rating on Goodreads at the moment, and the reviews that I've seen so far have been quite mixed, but I'm very excited to read it. It sounds like something that I will enjoy, and it's quite short as well, so hopefully it'll be a quick read. Okay, so prompt number 2 is a yellow one, and this is Romantasy. The original book that I had in for this prompt was actually Law of the Wilds. However, I do have a backup written down as a potential, and it's another new release, Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I've actually requested this from my library, and I think I had an email the other day that said it's ready to go and pick up. I am intrigued about this one because even though I've enjoyed some of Ali Hazelwood's books, this is something that sounds very different. It's a paranormal romance between a vampire and a werewolf. I have heard that the plot in this is quite good. I think it has a lot of politics surrounding the different paranormal creatures, and that sounds like something that will work for me. So yeah, hopefully I enjoy this one. Prompt number 3 is a pink one, and it's, ooh, Criminals. For this I'm going to go with Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick, which is the first book in, I think it's called the Rook and Rose trilogy. I know that this is set in a Venetian inspired world and the main character is a con artist, so it does count for this prompt. I've heard really good things about it. I think there's also a sister relationship. I think the main character is trying to infiltrate a noble family to help her sister in some way. It's a completed series as well. I think the 3rd book came out last year, and it's one of the series that I've got on my priority series list for 2024, so really glad that I can make a start on this trilogy. I've heard it compared to The Lies of Locke Lamora, which I read early this year and really enjoyed, so hopefully I enjoy this one just as much. Okay, so far we've had 3 prompts from 3 different colours, so So I think I'm going to try and go for a blue prompt now, just to make things nice and fair. So, the prompt is reference materials, and I think I can remember what book I was going to choose for this one, and it's a book that scares me. A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This is the prequel to Priory of the Orange Tree, which I did really enjoy. I read it last year and I loved the world. The pacing had some issues and the ending was a little anticlimactic, but I loved the world, and this is set in the same world but a few thousand years before, and it's a chunky one. It's over 800 pages. How long is this actually? It's 863 pages, including the glossary and stuff at the end. I do have the audiobook for this, so I will probably listen to the audiobook while reading along physically. I did that with Priory of the Orange Tree and really enjoyed the experience. I found it really immersive. I also have the ebook for this because I got an ARC of this through NetGalley when it came out, which I think was last year. I just never got round to it. So basically I have 3 different methods of reading this book, so there's no excuse not to finish it in May. Okay, so for this final prompt, I'm hoping for something a little bit shorter, seeing as how I now have A Day of Fallen Night on my TBR. But the prompt is set in a small town. I can't actually remember what I had written down for that. For this prompt, I'm going with Can't Spell Treason Without Tea, which is a cozy fantasy, and I believe it's set in a small town. I think we're following 2 characters who run away to a small town to open a bookshop or a tea shop. It's a bookshop that serves tea. It literally says it on the back of the book there. I think this is also going to have dragons in it because there's a dragon on the front, and the Waterstones special edition for this, if you haven't seen it, it has dragons along the stenciled edge. So even if I hadn't been sent a copy of this by the publisher, I think it would still be a book that I was interested in. I'm actually going to be joining the book tour for this, so my review will be going live I think towards the end of the month. I need to double check at the schedule of when I need to post it, but yeah, very excited to read this. I love cozy fantasy, and this I think has been compared to Legends and Lattes and Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldry, so it sounds like something that's gonna really work for me. My plan is to do a reading vlog where I read this over a weekend and have a nice cozy time, so very excited I could fit this into my May TBR, my official TBR, because I was going to have to read this anyway. So this is how my May TBR is looking so far. We have Law of the Wilds by Annalisa Brana, A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon, Can't Spell Treason Without Tea by Rebecca Thorne, and then Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick on my Kindle, and then Bride by Ali Hazelwood, which I need to pick up from the library. There are also a couple of other books that I would like to read in May. The first is She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan, which I'm going to be buddy reading with Nat from Nerdy Nat Reads. I think we're going to start it at the end of the month, so it might go over into June. I would also really like to read The Atlas Paradox by Olivia Blake, which is the second book in the Atlas trilogy, I think it's called. I read the first book in April and loved it, and it ends in a way where I really want to go immediately into the second book, so hoping to pick this up as well. The first book wasn't the fastest paced, but I did still find it quite compelling because I thought the characters were really interesting, so hopefully I can get through this quite quickly. It's not the longest book, so fingers crossed. Should have said actually, I can't actually use this for any of the bingo prompts because I've already used the Atlas 6 for a prompt. I ended up using it for the Dreams prompt. I was going to use it for Dark Academia, but I was really struggling to find a book that features dreams, so I've moved some stuff around, and I'm going to try and find a different book for dark academia. The final book that I'm hoping to get around to is In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune, which I currently have out of the library. I think this is a sci-fi book. I think I've heard it's a Pinocchio retelling, or it has that kind of plot. But that does bring me to the end of this TBR, so thank you for watching. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments if you're taking part in the Reddit fantasy bingo and how many prompts you've completed so far. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I've talked about on this TBR and what you thought of them. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, but otherwise I will see you next time. Bye!